As the curtains of history part, we find ourselves stepping into the vibrant palette of the Renaissance, a time of rebirth, discovery, and innovation. Our focus sharpens on a figure whose impact on the music world would echo through the centuries: Guillaume Dufay. A Franco-Flemish composer and music theorist, Dufay is a titan of early Renaissance music, a figure whose influence was as wide as the map of Europe itself. Born on the cusp of the 15th century, his exact birth date remains shrouded in uncertainty. His beginnings were humble, likely the illegitimate child of a priest, yet his path was destined for greatness. Young Dufay's education began at Cambrai Cathedral, under the tutelage of masters such as Nicolas Grenon and Richard Lucqueville. His talent and ambition would carry him far beyond these walls, working under figures of power and prestige across Europe, from Rimini to Bologna to Rome. Dufay's music was a symphony of innovation and tradition, integrating the continent's Anglo-Irish style of John Dunstable with the techniques of his contemporaries. His work was as diverse as his travels, encompassing virtually every polyphonic genre of his time. From his celebrated motet, Nuper Rosarum Flores, to his English-inspired cyclic masses, his compositions were a testament to his genius and versatility. As we delve deeper into this journey, we will explore the early life of this musical prodigy, the trials he faced, and the legacy he built. So sit back, relax, and let the melodies of history guide us through the fascinating life of Guillaume Dufay. The documented life of Dufay, a prominent 15th century composer, is a rarity among his contemporaries. The institutions he associated with, especially Cambrai Cathedral where he studied, left a trove of records detailing his early life. These records have also led to fascinating insights into the variations in his name. The surname Dufay was often consolidated into Dufay in historical references and music sources. Additionally, there are records of his parents spelling their surname Dufate. His first name, too, appears in different forms such as Willem, Willermus, Willem, and Wilhelm in Cambrai's documents. Modern researchers have yet to determine the reasons behind these discrepancies, adding to the intrigue surrounding Dufay's identity. Guillaume Dufay was born under unique circumstances in Beersel, near Brussels. An illegitimate son of an anonymous priest and Marie Dufate, he and his mother relocated to Cambrai in his early childhood. Here, he began his association with the Cathedral of Cambrai, which recognized his musical gifts. Under the cathedral's auspices, he studied music intensively, notably under Roger de Hesdin and Nicolas Milan. The cathedral highlighted his unique talent by presenting him with his own copy of Villedieu's Doctrinal Purorum in 1411, an extraordinary event given his tender age. By 16, he held a benefice as a chaplain at St. Géry, further refining his musical abilities under Nicolas Malin and Richard Locqueville. In 1414, he possibly journeyed to the Council of Constance, meeting the Malatesta court, whose members significantly influenced his ensuing compositions and relationship. Dufay's early years were a period of constant learning and discovery, setting the stage for his future Renaissance maestro status. In 1420, Dufay was drawn to Italy, where he began working for the Malatesta family, his compositions reflecting a distinct Italian influence. He briefly returned to Cambrai due to family illness in 1424, but soon resumed his Italian journey. From being a deacon and ordained priest in Bologna, joining the esteemed papal choir in Rome, his reputation skyrocketed. His brief departure due to political unrest led Savoy, but by 1435, he was back to serve in the papal chapel in Florence. Dufay's legacy as a Renaissance maestro stretched across Europe, underscoring his significant influence. In the 1430s, Dufay returned to Cambrai due to potential threats to his position with rising discord between the papacy and the Council of Basel. His return was a significant turning point, taking place in December 1439, after Pope Eugene was deposed. This key moment marked the beginning of a vital stage in his life. His tenure was marked by an inventive partnership with Nicolas Grenon. Together, they undertook a comprehensive revision of the cathedral's liturgical collection. Their combined efforts resulted in a vast of polyphonic music, significantly enhancing the quality of religious services. Although Dufay's potential contributions to music theory have been lost to time, they hint at his exceptional beyond composition, demonstrating his status as scholar. His return to Cambrai solidified his legacy in the musical landscape of the Renaissance, his genius forever woven into the fabric of Renaissance. In 1450, Dufay embarked on a journey from Cambrai to Turin, where he met his former employer, Duke Amadei VIII of Savoy, just before his untimely demise. Upon his return to Cambrai, he soon set off for Savoy, beginning a 6-year sojourn in Italy. His time in Savoy was marked by his artistic achievements and the forging of notable connections. He composed one of his 4 Lamentations on the fall of Constantinople in 1453 and his renowned Mass based on Se la face Palle. In addition, Dufay reached out to Lorenzo de' Medici, enhancing his connections with the Italian elite. Despite not landing a fitting position for his twilight years, his stint in Savoy was colored with artistic endeavors and meaningful associations, before he eventually returned north in 1458. In 1458, the renowned composer Dufay returned to his hometown Cambrai, where he resumed his role as a beacon of inspiration for the upcoming artists. He influenced the likes of Busnois, Ockeghem, Tinctoris, and Loisette Compere, playing a significant role in shaping the polyphonic style of the future generation. Dufay's later years were marked by the creation of a Requiem Mass, a masterpiece sadly lost to time. After his death on the 27th of November 1474, his funeral was marked by the echo of this now lost Requiem Mass in the cathedral. His tombstone, bearing his portrait, rested in the Cathedral of Cambrai, symbolizing devotion to music. Despite being lost during the French Revolution, the tombstone was recovered in 1859 and is now housed in the Palais des Beaux-Arts Museum in Lille, a touching tribute to the Maestro's final years in Cambrai. In the realm of Dufay's creative genius, not all treasures have survived the test of time. His compositions spanned across the spectrum of sacred and secular music, encompassing masses, motets, magnificats, hymns, and antiphons, as well as rondeaux, ballades, virelais, and chansons. His music, although not specifically instrumental, was often accompanied by instruments, especially in his secular pieces. His vast repertoire includes 7 complete masses, 28 individual mass movements, 15 settings of chant used in mass propers, 3 magnificats, 2 benedicamus domino settings, 15 antiphon settings, 27 hymns, 22 motets, and 87 chansons. 2 of his most significant mass compositions, Missa c'est la face et pale and Missa l'homme armé, are considered essential in the realm of Renaissance music. But the Maestro's oeuvre also held works that are now lost to us. Among them is his Requiem Mass, composed around 1460, which resonated within the sacred walls of the cathedral during his funeral. The loss of such works leaves a void in our understanding of Dufay's musical journey, a silent symphony that continues to echo in the corridors of history. Regrettably, these lost pieces, like the portrait carved onto Dufay's tombstone lost during the French Revolution, serve as poignant reminders of the ephemeral nature of art and the enduring legacy of the Maestro's final years in Cambrai. Today, preserved editions of Dufay's surviving works continue to inspire and influence, ensuring that his musical genius continues to reverberate through the ages. As we delve deeper into Dufay's musical legacy, we find ourselves enchanted by his harmonization of chant. Many of his compositions were, in essence, intricate settings of chant, specifically designed for liturgical use. These pieces were likely intended as substitutes for the unadorned chant, serving as harmonizations that enriched the spiritual experience of the liturgy. In these compositions, Dufay often employed a technique of parallel writing known as faux bourdon. This simpler compositional style, characterized by parallel motion and predominantly consonant intervals, was prominent in 15th century liturgical music and particularly in the Burgundian school. Dufay's mastery of faux bourdon resulted in harmonizations that were both melodically and harmonically rich, adding depth and texture to the original chant while maintaining its spiritual essence. This innovative approach to chant setting served to elevate the liturgical experience, imbuing it with a musical richness that resonated with the faithful. Dufay may have been the first composer to use the term faux bourdon to describe this specific style, further highlighting his influence on and contribution to the music of the Renaissance. The enduring appeal of his chant settings which continue to inspire and influence composers to this day, attests to the timeless genius of this Renaissance maestro. In Dufay's Harmonization of Chant, we find a perfect blend of tradition and innovation, a testament to his ability to enhance and transform the musical landscape of his time while respecting its roots. As we explore these chant settings, we gain a deeper appreciation of Dufay's musical prowess and his enduring influence on the world of music. Transitioning from the sacred to the secular, we explore Dufay's profound contributions to secular music. Most of Dufay's secular songs adhered to the forms fixes, the rondeau, ballade, and virelai, that dominated European secular music of the 14th and 15th centuries. During his sojourn in Italy, he also penned a handful of Italian ballate. Like his motets, many of these songs were composed for specific occasions, providing us with valuable insights into his life and times. Primarily, Dufay's songs were three-voiced compositions, with the texture dominated by the highest voice. The other two voices, devoid of text, were likely played by instruments. On occasion, Dufay experimented with four voices, though the fourth voice was often added by a later, usually anonymous, composer. In his love songs, Dufay typically employed the rondeau form. His later secular songs bear the influence of bousnois and okhagam, with less differentiation in rhythm and melody between the voices. This was a move towards the smooth polyphony that would become the predominant style half a century later. One of his notable creations, the ballade Resvelis vous faites chier li, composed in 1423 for the marriage of Carlo Malatesta and Vittoria di Lorenzo Colonna, perfectly exemplifies Dufay's secular style. Its musical form follows A, B, C for each stanza, with C as the refrain. The music beautifully highlights passages in the text that refer to the wedded couple, reflecting Dufay's ability to weave narrative and music together seamlessly. This exploration of Dufay's secular music underscores his versatility as a composer, adept at both sacred and secular forms, and his ability to innovate within established musical conventions. In this scene, we delve into Dufay's lesser-known role as a theorist. Two works penned by Dufay on music theory have been documented, although neither has survived. The first, known through the writings of theorist Gafurius, is referred to as Musica. Unfortunately, the citations are brief, offering little more than what could be found in any contemporary music treatise. The reasons behind Gafurius' citations remain a mystery, with some speculating that he might have been capitalizing on the authority of the older composer. The second work, titled Tractatus de Musica Mensurata et de Proportionibus, is known only through a claim by 19th century musicologist François-Joseph Fétis. Last documented in the possession of a London book dealer in 1824, the authenticity of this work remains a subject of debate. If these works were indeed written by Dufay, he would join the ranks of the composer-theorists, a tradition that includes Johannes Ciconia, Francinus Gafurius, and Tinctorius. The possibility that these works are the same treatise is also considered, with some suggesting that the references to Musica were shorthand for the work cited by Fétis. However, the absence of concrete evidence leaves these conjectures open to interpretation. This chapter in Dufay's life, while shrouded in mystery, adds another layer to his multifaceted legacy as not just a composer, but also a theorist. In this scene, we explore the two known depictions of Dufay that have survived from his lifetime. Both are described by music historian Alejandro Planchart as simplified likenesses, which clearly depict the same person. The earlier and more renowned is a miniature of Dufay and his contemporary Binchois from a manuscript of the poet Martin Lefranc's Le Champion des Dames, dated sometime before 1451. This illustration portrays Dufay on the left, playing a portative organ, with Binchois on the right, holding a small harp. This image is stored in the Bibliothèque Nationale de France, and its illuminator remains unknown, although speculation points to Barthélemy Poignard, the manuscript scribe. The second depiction is a carving on Dufay's funeral monument, where Dufay is portrayed in a kneeling position. Behind him stands Saint Waltrude of Mons, the patron saint of the church in Mons, where Dufay held a benefice. To his right, 3 soldiers and an angel observe the resurrected Christ. Art historian Ludovic Nice suggests that this carving may have been influenced by a circa 1460 woodcut from Florence. However, this interpretation is not universally accepted, with art historian Douglas Brine expressing skepticism. These portrayals of Dufay not only offer us a glimpse of the man himself, but also provide a tangible connection to the era in which he lived and created his enduring works. In the era preceding Dufay, the concept of a composer, a musician whose primary occupation was composition, was largely unfamiliar in Europe. This notion began to emerge during the 15th century, and Dufay was among the pioneers. Dufay and Binchois, due to their mutual significance, have often been grouped together since their lifetimes. However, musicologist Reinhard Strom considers this analogy misleading, as Dufay's creativity spanned a broader spectrum of musical genres than Binchois. Dufay's oeuvre is more diversified than that of any composer since Michaux. Dufay was one of the last composers to make use of late medieval polyphonic structural techniques, like isorhythm, and one of the first to employ the more mellifluous harmonies, phrasing, and melodies characteristic of the early Renaissance. His works within the larger genres, such as masses, motets, and chansons, are mostly similar to each other. Yet, his fame is largely due to his perfect control of the forms in which he worked, as well as his gift for memorable and singable melody. During the 15th century, he was universally regarded as the greatest composer of his time, an opinion that has largely survived to the present day. Dufay's legacy continues to influence the music world, with the Dufay Collective, an early music ensemble, taking its name in his honor. His influence and the reverence for his work stand as a testament to the birth of the composer as a revered figure in music.